All right, so Jermaine, are you in class? Thumbs up or say something. Excellent. Karine Maduri, are you here?
Present.
Excellent. Ladine, are you here? Don't see any thumbs up.
Present.
Okay, and Leon, are you here, Leon? Rowan,
Present.
Sean, Tenley, Tyrese. Good. All right, so it's 8 of us, so let's kick it off. So we look at network protocols in the last class. All right, and we talk about especially the transport layer protocols and the application layer protocols. We spoke of those protocols in particular in last class, and we mentioned that each application uses either a single transport protocol or both. All right, and you guys should remember, can anyone tell me what are the two protocols at the transport layer of the TCP IP model? We are really talking about the TCP IP model. So there are two protocols. Can anyone just quickly say? It doesn't matter. Anyone can say it.
TCP and UDP.
All right, cool. Cool. All right, Leon, I saw your response. So yes, we have TCP and UDP, those two transport layer protocols, and we have application layer protocols. All right, we have a couple of application layer protocols, and we spoke how they are utilized, right? So we talk about HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, talk about Telnet, SSH, we talk about DNS, DHCP, SMTP, SNMP. We talk about a couple others, application that works at the application layer. All right, they work at the application layer of the TCP IP model. We even make mention that the TCP IP model consists of 4 layers. All right, and we give the acronym, which is ATIN. All right, application, transport, internet, and network. All right, so just a quick recap. We also talk about the applications they identify by each session on a computer, and they identify by port number, and each application during the communication process on the network as a source port and a destination port. All right, we speak of the features of the two transport layer protocols, TCP and UDP. We speak of their features such as reliability, best effort, faster one, and how they are how the data packets are transferred on throughout the network. All right. We spoke about ones, why there are networks. We talk about cellular. We talk about ZigBee. We talk about Z-Wave, and so forth. And I hope that we did our research. So it's just a quick recap. So now we are at section 5.3 and chapter 5. We are going to wrap up chapter 5 this evening, I hope. And we will be doing chapter 5 exam this coming weekend. All right? And not only chapter 5, we'll be doing the checkpoint exam also. All right, let's go into it. Any questions, any information, anything anyone want to mention before we move right into this evening class?
Sir, so just to be sure, for the weekend, it's gonna be the test, the assignment, and the checkpoint.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, not a whole lot. All right, so we're gonna kick off this evening class. Where this evening we're doing basic network devices. All right. So I guess we all understand that we are at a point in the course. It's the well, not the midpoint of the course, but this is where you call it the beginning of the advance, eh? And so we are now, for those who only think of a personal computer as a laptop, your desktop, those things, that's the only usage you know, but you know how to use the internet and so forth. So now we have an understanding that network is critically important in everything that we do in our everyday life as it regarding to technology, because that's how communications take place across the network. All right. So now that we understand a couple of networking terminologies and some of the technology, and now we're going to talk about the basic network device. Those are the devices that we use to form a network, to put together a network. All right. So let's jump into this video. All right. Give me a quick second. I'm going to share this video. All right, so let's go share that, optimize, and we have volume. And let's enlarge our screen. Can you see the screen, class? All right, and let us go. So basic network devices are like switches and routers. All right, so let's get into it.
Ethernet switches connect devices such as computers, printers, and routers, which are on the same Ethernet local area network. Devices on an Ethernet LAN communicate with each other using Ethernet MAC addresses. The MAC addresses in this video have been shortened for brevity. These MAC addresses are embedded on the device's Ethernet NIC, network interface card. For example, when PC A sends data to server B, it does so by sending that message to the server's Ethernet MAC address, CCCC. When a switch receives a message, it examines the destination MAC address in the message to determine which port to forward the data. It is important to note that devices also use IP addresses to communicate. IP addresses are used by devices to communicate with each other on the same network, but are also used so they can communicate with one another when they are on different networks. So switches forward data within the same network, while routers forward data between different networks. In this example, PC A is sending a message to server B, which is on a different network. This message, known as an IP packet, is sent to the local router, PC A's default gateway. When the router receives this message, it will examine the packet's destination IP address to determine where to forward the data. Routers have routing tables, which tell them where to forward packets. If the IP address of the destination device, server B in this example, is not on a network directly connected to this router, it will forward the packet to another router. If the IP address of the destination device is on a directly connected network, it can then forward the message directly to that device.
So that video is very clear introduction to how the network operates and the devices. All right. So looking at network cards, the network interface card, on screen, you will notice that we have 3 cards that does the same thing. All right, they help to formulate a network. And so we have an Ethernet. The word is Ethernet, not Ethernet. NIC, and NIC stands for Network Interface Card. You have a wireless NIC and a USB NIC. All right. The network interface card provides a physical connection to the network at the PC or other end device. End device, as I mentioned, could be your PC, could be the laptop, it could be the switch, it could be a server, it could be a printer. All right, that's what the end devices are. Ethernet NICs used to connect Ethernet networks, and wireless NICs are used to connect to wireless network. All right. Most NICs in desktop computers are integrated into the motherboard, and that is the modern time, but you can always buy an additional adapter card, or you can buy it in a USB format or a wireless format and add it to your computer. All right, so you will have the wireless one, or you have the USB form factor. All right, and it also performs important function of addressing data with the NIC's media access control. You know, media access control short is referred to as a MAC. All right, and then the video mention of the MAC address. All right, so each network card, each device on the network has a unique physical address, and that unique physical address is known as the MAC address, media access control address. All right, so the NIC perform that important function of addressing the data with the NIC's media address, so it knows its address. All right, NICs are found on most computers today are gigabit Ethernet, meaning that it's 100 megabits, sorry, 1000 megabits per second capable. All right, and so they are also backward compatible, so it can go down to 100. All right, today's computers and motherboards typically have NICs built in, including wireless capability. All right, and we're talking about desktop. All right, for laptop, yes, we have both of them in the laptop. We have wireless, and we also have the Ethernet in the wireless. Ethernet also in the laptop. So you'll find that you can use a cable in your laptop while you connect wirelessly. All right, so that is for NICs. As it is for repeaters, these are some other network devices, basic network devices that you will encounter. You have repeaters, bridges, and hubs. All right. Now, hubs, let's start from hubs. Hubs is a legacy device. You rarely will see a hub in a network environment today. It's legacy means it's old, it's first time, it's not being used anymore. All right, and what the hub does, it brings in information on one port and send the same information out on all the ports that are there. That's what a hub does. All right, and then you have the repeater. All right, what the repeater is for is to regenerate weak signals. Any signal, when a signal is degrading, all right, coming to its weakest, then I put a repeater in, and that repeater will repeat the signal. Is like a transformer on an electrical line, or you would say it's like a pump on a water line. So as the water start to lose its pressure, then you have a pump to force the pressure along further on the main. All right, so that's what a repeater is like. All right, regenerate weak signals, and are also called extenders because they extend the distance a signal can travel. All right, Repeaters are most often used to regenerate signals in fiber optic cables. All right. And also every networking device that receives and sends data regenerates the signal. All right. Talk about hub already. Now we're going to talk about the bridge. All right. Bridges were introduced to divide LANs into segments back in the days, long time ago. All right. Before you have the days of switches, Ethernet switches, which we're going to talk about. It was just the hubs, and then you have the repeater and you have the bridge. The bridge was to do, as it says, to divide the LAN into different segments. All right. Bridges keep a record of all devices on each segment. A bridge can then filter network traffic between LAN segments, and this helps reduce the amount of traffic between devices. For example, if you look in figure 3, all right, so we can see the figure here where you look at 1 is the repeater, 2 is the hub, and the bridge. So you have segment 1 and segment 2, all right? No, modern era, let me not say modern era. In today's technology, we use switches. All right. So bridges and hub are now considered legacy devices. We don't use them anymore. All right. If you go on a network and see these things, you know that that network is old and probably not functioning optimally, or it's there just for record's sake to show you how it works. All right. So every device and our switch work is that, like I said, for a hub, the signal comes in on one port and it is then sent out on every port. All right, every port it sends out on. Every device on a network has a unique media access controller, which I mentioned earlier. That is a MAC address, and this address is hard coded by the manufacturer. All right, so you might be wondering how comes everybody with a number now go run out from time past them and make network cards or network devices, and as I said, every network device comes with a MAC address burned into it from the manufacturer. All right. So, and we're not running out because these MAC addresses are manufacturer specific. All right. They can't mix them up easily, hard to mix up, and they use regular numbers, decimal, and sometimes they use an hexadecimal. So hard to run out. All right, this address is hard coded by the manufacturer. As device send data, switches enter the device MAC address into a switching table that records the MAC address for each device. So let me explain. So the MAC address, right? The MAC address for each network device, all right, is critical when you're sending information because that is what identify the network card physically. All right, so take note of the word I keep saying physically. It identifies the network card physically. So whenever the data is sent or it comes to the switch will know the MAC address if it is stored in the switch's MAC address table, or you call it the switching table that records the MAC address. All right. So for each device that is connected to the switch, so let me show you. If you look on screen, you see 1, 2, 3, 4 computers, 1 printer, and this look like a server here. So each one have their own unique MAC address. All right, and they are plugged into this switch. Once they plug into this switch and powered on, this switch here, once it is on, records the MAC address for each of this device here into their table to say this computer is plugged into port 1 and this computer is plugged into port 2. So if the MAC address for this computer is ABC, it's gonna record it as ABC is plugged into port 2. All right, and if this is gonna be DEF is plugged into port 1. Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you, but I'm not seeing anything on the screen.
Oh, you're not seeing anything on the screen? Oh my
No,
God, I wonder what's on my screen. All right, just a moment, but I'm sharing here. And everybody else not seeing anything on screen?
I'm seeing the screen.
Yeah,
I
I'm
see,
seeing it as well.
I'm seeing my screen up. I see where I'm sharing. Um, what are you seeing on your screen now?
Page with the switch.
Only the
No,
class member seeing.
only the class. Okay, okay, all right. So press F5 and refresh your screen and see what happened. F5, function key 5, and refresh your screen. What are you using? A laptop, computer, or a tablet or a
Tablet.
phone? Okay,
Tablet.
well, I don't even know how to tell you to refresh your screen. I probably you want to move the screen across, change screen, or you can do the multi-screen that you can
I
see which
did
screen
that
is.
already.
Okay.
Or probably try logging out and
So,
joining
yeah,
back again. Yeah.
that was the next thing we're gonna say. If you can log out and log in. All right. All right. So while you're doing that, we're gonna move ahead. So each device MAC address is recorded in the switch MAC address table. All right, so we see here where it says switching table is the same thing. The MAC address table records all the MAC addresses for the device that are connected to the switch. All right, class? All right, so I hope you remember that. All right, so there are many other features of the switch. We're going to go through them. All right. And it records which switch port can be used to reach a device with a given MAC address. All right, so whenever information comes into the switch from from any device to say I'm sending information, say I am at ABC and I want to send information to XYZ and XYZ at port, the switch will know that XYZ is at port 9. So when I send my data into the switch is going to say a source MAC address and a destination MAC address. So the switch will realize that, oh, ABC needs to send something to XYZ, right? So the switch knows that ABC is on port 2 and then knows that XYZ is on port 9, all right, based on the MAC address table. So it's going to take the information from port coming into the port and find and send it to the port where that MAC address is. So that's what this switch does. The switch is intelligent. The hub used to work differently. What the hub will do is just broadcast. It just get the information and just send it out to every port. So the owner of that information will have to get it. So the hub doesn't have a MAC address table. So it doesn't know which port any of the devices are on. All right, so when the information is thrown out to every port by the hub, the device is gonna say, oh no, this is not mine, and drop it. And next device gonna look at it and say, oh no, this is not mine, and drop it. And the next device look at it and say, oh no, this is not mine. And the one that is say, oh, this is mine. Okay, let me take the information. That's how the hub work. The switch is different. The switch will look, and if the MAC address is in the MAC address table, it will forward the data to the correct port. If I'm kind of moving a little faster than what the notes here, but just a second, we're gonna get there anyhow. If the MAC address of that device, if the destination MAC address is not in the switch will broadcast. You understand? And to see if there are anywhere that they can find that MAC address. If not, then the switch will have to just drop that message because they don't know who to give it to and discard it. All right. So let's continue. So when traffic arrives that is destined for a particular MAC address, the switch uses the switching table, which is a MAC address table, as I mentioned, to determine which port to use to reach the MAC address. The traffic is forwarded out the port to the destination. By sending traffic out of only one port to the destination, other ports are not affected. So the information will only be coming out one port. In, as I explained, contrary to what a hub does, everything come out everybody port. All right. So, you know, like somebody just go out there. So, you know, like somebody have a message to give to, say you live on a street in Bourke Village, and the person live across from you, but you really don't know that the person live there, but you know the person live on your street, and you have a message, somebody give you a message to give the person, so you don't bother try to figure out where that person is. You just come out of your doorway and stand up and say, Angela, your clothes them on the line are wet up, or Angela, your chicken are bun up. So everybody here, now the person who named Angela will have to take that message and know say for them, because them alone have chicken up on fire. That's how the hub work. All right, guys. So as basic as I can get it, that's what it is like. All right. In larger networks, network administrator typically install managed switches. Managed switches come with additional features that the network administrator can configure to improve the functionality and the security of the network. For example, a managed switch can be configured with VLAN and port security. So when we talk about segment, we're talking about VLAN. All right. So a managed switch, meaning when I say a managed switch, mean that you can manage it. You can log into that switch, whether by telnet or whatever, you can, or HTTPS, log onto that switch, look at the interface of that switch like you do a computer, and you can say, you can make configuration how the switch will operate on your network. All right, and that is a managed switch. The unmanaged switch now is one that you cannot do. You don't have the feature to log in and make any changes or anything like that. Whatever is the switch is programmed to do from the manufacturer, that is what it is going to do. All right, that is the unmanaged switch. All right, those switches, just buy them and just put them into the network, and that's it. All right, wireless access point. So most of us have encountered wireless access point in our journey since we start to use technology. All right. So wireless access points shown in the figure, there it is. If you look over here, you can see wireless access point. All right. So there it is right there. All right. So what the wireless access point does is extend your network signal in wirelessly to wireless clients. All right. So the wireless AP uses radio waves to communicate with the wireless NIC in the devices with other wireless access point. All right. So for instance, you have your switch on your network or at your home, and you want to see if you can, well, not see if you can, you want to connect to your network. You want to connect to your network because you have a wireless device or a mobile device. All right. What you will do is buy a wireless access point. Some of us buy a wireless router, but the cheaper one is the wireless access point. And those wireless access point, you plug into your switch, your networking switch, and voila, the information will move through the access point and out wirelessly to your wireless devices. All right. And then you want to say, why would you want to do that? Yeah, you know, take for instance at a small office. Say you have a small office, all right, and you get a modem from Flow, not a wireless modem, but a cable modem from Flow that gives you internet. But you also want to connect with your phone, and you want to connect with your tablet. And the way to do that to connect with your phone and tablet, because those does not comes with Ethernet port, you can put in a wireless access point, and that wireless access point you'll connect it to this switch or to the modem with a Ethernet cable. And from there on, it will then emit wireless signals that will gives your mobile devices to be the ability to connect to your network. All right. So that's what it is. A wireless access point provides connectivity only to the network, but The router does something totally different. Wireless router provide additional features that we will go into as we move forward. All right. Switches and wireless APs for data within a network. All right, so you keep that in mind. Switches and wireless access points. Once a year I mention APs, we're talking about access point. Those will forward data within a network segment. All right, routers can have all functionality of a switch and our wireless AP. We're talking about the wireless router, by the way. All right, because you have routers that are not wireless. All right. However, the routers connect networks. All right. So, and switches use MAC addresses to forward traffic within a single network, but routers use IP addresses to forward traffic to other networks. All right. So I'm going to take a time to give you an example, if I can put it in an everyday situation for you. So the switch and the APs, as it says, is within the same network. You understand? The same network. So take, for instance, I'm gonna call I'm trying to figure, say, all right, yes, I'm gonna go with community. All right, so for those who lives in Bogue Village and those who lives out by our next community, Irwin, Meadows of Irwin, right? So you will say one segment is Bogue Village and one segment is Meadows of Irwin, right? And you want to get to from Bogue Village to get into Meadows of Irwin. First thing you need to do is to leave your house, and then you leave Meadows of Irwin, right? So we know that Meadows of Irwin has gates or entrance and exit points, right? So those entrance and exit points, you would call them your router, right? So before you can leave Meadows of Irwin, you need to go out of the gate, or before you can come in, you need to come through the gate. All right. So now you end up leaving Meadows of Irwin to go to Bogue Village. So you come through your gate, which is the router, all right, which is small office here. So you come through your gate, which is the router. You drive downtown on the highway and everywhere using a car, and you're going to call it the internet. So this is the open space that you are traversing, all right, that belongs to nobody. And then you're going to reach to Meadows of Irwin, which has this router here. Meadows of Irwin is the gate, all right? So this router is the gate of Bogue Village. Where we're leaving from, wherever we're leaving from and wherever we're getting, all right? So this is, we're going to call small office Meadows of Irwin, and we come onto the main road, the internet, and we're going to go to Bogue Village. This router here is the entrance to get into Bogue Village. Without this gate here or this entrance here, you can't get into Bogue Village. And that's what the routers are. So they connect you to different segments or to different networks. All right. So the router is your gateway to send packets into your network or your community, or out of network or your community. All right. That's what the router is for. The router is connect to different networks or different community or different segment. You get me? So I'm just going over it. So for you to get into this network from an outside network, you have to pass through the router, and you have to come into the router, and the router will allow you access into this network, and likewise so forth and so forth. If you want to get out of this network to go somewhere else, the router will have to allow you. All right, I know that I've gone over it a couple of times just now, but I just want to make sure you understand. All right, so yes, all right, so at your home, you are in a wireless router, all right, because your network at your home is a different network from the broad open internet. For you to get onto the broad open internet, you need to go through the router that was given to you. So you will get a wireless router from Flow or from Digicel or whoever you get it from, and that router allows you access to the network, the broad open internet, and also brings the broad open internet information into your home. So without that router, you would not be able to access the internet, and you will not be able to get information from the internet into your home. Class, tell me, do you get the understanding I'm trying to present to you?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. All right, just want to make sure. All right, so now we understand the difference with a hub, a repeater. Repeater is still being used today, and because the access point is also is like an extend, and it can also form a repeater. So you have repeater using, but you know the difference between a hub and a bridge. All right, so we know that on the switch, and we know that a switch is what we use now, and it can segment our network. It don't waste time sending information to everybody to use the board overhead. It sends specifically to who need to get it. All right. And also we know that a switch forwards data to its own network segment, but a router now forwards data outside network segment to a different network. All right, and forwards information from outside into your network. All right. So let's move on.
Sir, one question.
Not a problem. Go ahead with the question. I love questions.
So what's the difference between the segment and the packets?
All right. Okay. I see what you're saying now. All right. So, all right. Segments it means what it means in every sense of the word. So when you're talking about packets are divided into segments, it means that the packets are broken down into smaller pieces, right? Right. So when you talk about segments as it relates to network, it's different, but the concept is the same. So the network is broken down into smaller networks. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Right. So, all right. That not sound like you're very confident on that answer. So let me go over it again. All right. So the packets, take for instance, we're going to talk about packets and we're going to talk about networks, two different items, right? So you have a bag with 10 jelly in it, a cocos bag with 10 jelly in it. That is a packet, right? But you want to you can't transfer that bag there one go. You might take a look like when you lift it up and put it, they say take forever. You can't manage it. So if you want to complete it efficiently and probably at a better speed, you're going to divide, you're going to open the bag and break it into carrying amount that you can manage. So 10 jelly might in it and you can carry 2. So you're going to break it into 2. You're going to make two trip, or you're going to give somebody 2 and give the next person 2 and one next person 2 and one next person 2. And so you can call that a segment. It's a packet, but a segment it's segmented into 2 jelly, so that you can carry it and you can track it. You can know who carried this 2 and so forth. That's how you break down the packet. As for networking now, right? Networking now, you'll be looking at like probably a piece of land, right? And you would put on cut up the piece of land in, say for instance, an acre. You cut it up in 4 squares, all right? And then each squares will have their own gate, and they will have them different fences, all right? So you will segment your land, and you will have 4 different segments of land. That's how you will do the network. So you'll access each different piece of the land from their own entry and exit point. All right? But do you understand what I'm trying to explain to you?
Yeah, man, I understand, I know.
All right, cool. So good. I just don't like to move on and you're not clear on anything. That's why I can't ask so much, want you to ask more questions. All right, so now we are at that special point in the class where we call it check your understanding. All right, so here we go. The instruction is to drag network device to match the characteristics based on what I explained, you know? So the characteristic is connects end devices to the network. What will that be? Connects the end devices to the network.
NIC.
Everybody agree, right? Okay, I see you, Karina. I see you. Regenerates weak network signals.
Repeater.
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 Okay. All right. A legacy device that extended the number of devices that could be connected to a LAN.
Hub.
A legacy. All right. Do we all agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay. A legacy device that was used to divide a LAN into segments.
Bridge.
Good job. I mean, yeah, let us put it in. A device that microsegments a LAN and forward data based on the MAC address.
Switch.
Cool. A device that uses radio waves to extend the distance of a network.
Router.
Radio waves?
Wireless AP.
Okay. Once you see extend and radio waves, all right? Yes, we can have wireless router, but no wireless router is there. And the next one, a device connects networks and forwards data based on IP address. Now, if you remember, we're going to get to this point in a but I'm going to just bring it to you quickly. We're going to talk about the media access control, the MAC address, and I say it is the physical address. No, the IP address is your logical address. All right? All right, let's move on. All right, so we have security devices. So guys, do we have a understanding of the basic network device we talk about? The NIC, hub, bridge, AP, router, and switch. All right, we have an understanding of what they are for. All right, good. All right, let's move on. We're going to listen to this video quickly.
A firewall is a network security device or software within a device that monitors and controls incoming and outgoing network traffic based on a predetermined set of security rules. An integrated router typically contains a switch, a router, and a firewall. The firewall acts as a barrier between a trusted internal network and an untrusted external network, such as the internet. Firewalls use various devices to enforce a predetermined set of security rules. This may include one or more access control lists, ACLs, used to determine what type of traffic will be permitted or denied. Two other types of security devices are intrusion detection systems, IDSs, and intrusion prevention systems, IPSs. An IDS passively monitors traffic on the network, comparing the captured traffic stream with known malicious signatures. An IPS actively monitors traffic before reaching the destination. If the data is acceptable, the traffic is permitted. If the data is unacceptable, then the traffic will be denied.
All right, so that video is just a precursor for to help you to understand as we move forward. And we talk about security devices on a network. All right, so one of the things that we need to understand is that, like everything else, we need security. So you're starting a business, one of the things you start to think about is you're starting a business. Can you hear me clearly? Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So one other thing is when we are starting a business, we think about security. And we talk about security, we're not really talking about security guard. We want to make sure say our items, whatever we are selling or producing, are secured. So we have to think about entry and exit points. You have to think about the type of persons who will have access to what, who will not have access to such and such, and therefore, and so forth and so forth. So that is a part of security when you're thinking about it. So our network is the same situation. We often think of when security measures and put them in place as it relates to our security, because we have many different type of attacks on our networks coming through the internet, and it can be from internal local from your local network, or as I say, it can be from outside on the internet. All right, so we put security measures in place to protect our networks and to protect any assets that is within our network boundary. And we're talking about assets, we're talking things like about the devices, and we talk about the data. All right, so it's the softwares, the data that we have there, and on the physical side, we talk about the devices. All right, so that's why network is important, right? So we talk about firewalls now. Firewall is one of those security, what do you call it, appliance, device, software that you use to protect data and equipment on a network from unauthorized access. And the firewall, it resides between two or more networks. It does not use the resources of the computer it is protecting. So therefore, there is no impact on processing performance. As a matter of fact, firewall use various techniques for determining what is permitted or denied access to any network. All right, and one such thing is ACL, Access Control List. All right, and this list is a file that the router uses to contain rules about the data traffic between networks. So that access control list will tell you if it must accept a Word document from this particular port. If this, remember we're talking about ports, when we're talking about browsing the internet, the access control list will say block any incoming information from this port going to that port, or block any outgoing information from this port going to that port. All right, those are stuff that you'll find in the access control list. That list determines who are given access and who are denied from access. All right. All right. On a secure network, if a computer performance is not an issue, enable the internal operating system firewall for additional security. You know that our operating system, Windows comes with the Windows firewall, all right? And many of us don't even use it. We don't even think of it. It will probably be turned on by default, but we don't make an effort to configure it so that it can protect us. And worse, we are most times on our home network, because our home network it has to do with all the equipment connecting together in the same segment here, the same local area. All right. So we want to take that into consideration, that we can use the firewall there. We'll go through configuration of firewall further down into the chapter. Understand?
I'm sorry, sir. There seemed to be a bit of a feedback there. Like, I'm hearing it, but it's not
Yeah,
so clear. Yeah.
I'm hearing the feedback. I'm trying to, yeah, I do hear the feedback. All right, just give me a second. Can I get the feedback still? Yeah, I can hear it. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yes.
I can hear it, but I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, I'm not sure what's causing it. No, let me put this mic on. Just into the room. It's not it. It's not it.
Well, I see a few of them. Well, two persons, my is open, so I'm not sure if the feedback might be from the
Oh, that
network.
could be it. Guys, please mute the mic if you're not talking. All right? Because I'm really hearing the feedback. Yeah. Mute your mic. That's Ladine. Yeah. Mute your mic, Ladine. Okay, so I'm muted. All right. All right. It's better now, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All righty, cool. All right, so we look on the diagram and we can see how a firewall is utilized. So if we take note, we'll see right here we have the internal components of your network. Right. We'll have an integrated router. All right, this integrated router, why it is called integrated router? Because it also comes with these three items that is in the square. All right, you can see that square. So it comes all the items that are in this white area is integrated into this one router here. So the wireless router that you will get, it will comes with all these three components. So it will comes with a switch, so you can plug in other devices into it using the cable. It will come with a router that connects it to the internet. And these are, when I say come with a router and a switch, I'm talking they are integrated into one. It's one box you have, but it has all the features. And it also comes with a firewall. All right. So when you get one of these router from your ISP, or if you buy it downtown or wherever, online, Amazon, whoever, it comes with these internal components. So whenever you're buying a router, like, ensure that it comes with all these features. The firewall, it must come with the switch port, and you know it's going to have the router. All right. So this is your internal network now. It could be at your house or at your small office, right? And how it works is that you are connected to a switch, which is on the router, a switch that is on the router, right? And then you are protected using the firewall that is on the same router. You're going to log into it and configure the firewall option, and the router capability will then allows you to get access to the internet. All right, so that's why it is called integrated router, because it comes with these features. All right. IDS, all right, intrusion detection system. All right, that's what it stands for. All right, and it's a passive monitor. All right, it's a passive, it monitors the traffic on the network passively. All right, and what it does is basically records intrusion. All right, and shows you in a screen or sends an email to someone or or a report. All right. Basically, it just gives you knowledge that an intrusion has taken place or someone is trying to get into your network. All right. So IDS systems have largely disappeared now in favor of the IPS. IPS is a intrusion prevention system, and this is active. This is an active monitoring system, meaning what it does, it will monitor your network for intrusion, and when there's an intrusion based on what is configured, it will act. So if it says block, it block. If it says shut down, it shut down. If it says delete, delete. If it says allow, it allow. If it says block and send message, it will do that. If it says allow and send message, it will do that. So it's an active prevention system. All right, that's what it does. All right, so an IPS builds up on the IDS. IDS, as I say, that is not really being utilized now. And the difference between the two is that the IPS responds immediately and does not allow any malicious traffic to pass, whereas the IDS will allow the traffic to pass before it is addressed. All right, it basically telling you that, listen, there's a malicious traffic. I can't do anything about it, but may I tell you, so you must know, so you have to do something about it, However, poorly configured IPS can negatively affect the flow of traffic in the network. All right. So then we have the Unified Threat Management Device. All right. And this Unified Threat Management Device, as I say, unified, it basically comes with a multiple security appliance built into one box. You understand? For the females, them, that perfect man, for the females, when you say that perfect man, that is what the UTM is. Unified Threat Management is a generic name for an all-in-one security appliance. It includes the functionality of IDS/IPS, that we're talking about IPS, as well as stateful firewall services. All right, and why it is stateful? Because it provides packet filtering by using connection information maintained in a state table. So whatever you have in that table, that's how it filter the information. Stateful firewall tracks each connection by logging the source and destination addresses, as well as source and destination port numbers. So if you notice, we're talking about port numbers now. This is not new to you because we understand what port number is. When we talk about MAC address, we talk about logical address. The IP address is a logical address. We're going to get there and discuss it in more detail, but just to keep that in mind. In addition to the IDS, IPS, and stateful firewall services, UTM also typically provide additional security services, and these are some of them. All right. You have the zero-day protection. You have the DOS, which is denial of service. You have the proxy filtering. All right. You have the DDoS, which is the distributed denial of service. You have email filtering for spam and phishing attacks. So it also filters email set up on your email server or just set up your email on it. You have the anti-spyware. You have network access control, where you decide who can access from what, which port can access, which application can access. All right, then you have VPN services. Remember, we talk about VPN, virtual private network, and we said the VPN is when you, like in a submarine, traveling in the ocean, the wide ocean, from point A to point B. All right, it's a VPN services. You can also get that from your UTM. So you see, there are multiple features that are given to you by the UTM. That's why it is called Unified Threat Management System. So basically, you have a whole heap of stuff, features that is integrated into one. These features can vary significantly depending on the UTM vendor. All right, so on screen, we can see the ASA5506X, and that's from Cisco. All right, very popular. You know, this course is Cisco, so if you're going to buy anything, you buy Cisco. All right, it's not a paid announcement, by the way. In the firewall market today, UTMs are now typically called next generation firewalls. For example, the Cisco Adaptive Security Appliance, which we are looking there. All right, so that's why you have ASA, it's Adaptive Security Appliance. All right, it offers the latest in next generation firewall features. And what that means is that anything new that is on the market now, that box will offer it as a UTM. All right. Any questions, class? Any questions?
Um,
Endpoint.
um,
Yeah, go ahead.
so for the UTM,
Mm-hmm.
um, when you if you go buy the box, so they see the UTM or something.
Yes, yes, definitely you're buying the box because, I mean, you don't have to tell if it's a UTM because you will know it's a UTM. Yeah. You understand? You will know it's a UTM because you are buying it. So once you say you want the ASA 5506, that is a UTM. If you're gonna, you just need to know what are the features that comes with that particular box. Because as I said, it is the features are not standard for every UTM. Manufacturers different, and they might some manufacturers will give you more features than some. You understand? Some will give you more next generation features than others will. So you basically, when you're going to buy a UTM, you want to research, you want to know what comes with that box. All right?
Okay, sir.
Yep. All right, so we are now talking about DNA Center. All right, digital network architecture. That's what DNA stands for there. All right, and this is basically an endpoint management system or endpoint management server. And what it does is basically like it gives you on-screen a dashboard management of all your network devices. All right, all your endpoint devices that are on your network. All right, so you can see everything, if it is up, if it is down, and so forth. You can verify the devices as the latest operating system and antivirus update. So with this dashboard on one screen, you can look on one screen and see everything that is happening on the network. So you can say, oh, Rohan's computer has not been updated to the latest update, because you can see that everybody have update 11 and Rohan is on update 10, and chances are you will get an alert that is not, it has not been updated. And the antivirus definition also has not been updated. So this endpoint management system, basically what it is doing is looking on your network, every device that connects to your local area network. And well, let me not say local area network, on your network, because it could be also on a wide area network. All right. And the difference when I say local area network is when you're within the same like you're in the same room on the same switch. You understand? But when you're talking about wide area network, you're talking about different geographical location. All right. So you could use the endpoint to look at a device that is in Kingston. Understand? Because it's on the same it's on the same network. Maybe not on the same LAN, but the same network. All right. So it's a Cisco Digital Network Architecture Center is an example of a solution that provides endpoint management. However, the Cisco DNA is much more. It has a comprehensive management solution for managing all devices connected to the network so that the network administrator can optimize network performance to deliver the best possible user application experience. The tools for managing the network are available from Cisco DNA Center interface, and this is what it looks like. So for those persons who are potential system administrators, if you are none as yet, these are some of the tools that will be there to help you manage or monitor your network. All right. We're going to check our understanding. All right. I'm sorry, class, I know that I've been going a bit slower, but like I tell you, whenever I get on the chapters like this, which is a base chapter to move it forward, I have to make sure that you understand. All right. All right, so let's check our understanding. We're going to drag the security device to match the characteristic, and I'm going to read. A device placed between an internal and external network to filter traffic based on rules defined in an access control list. What device is that? Cool. A device that copies traffic and forwards to a management station for evaluation, which is that. I'm going to give you the operative word there. It's passive. Passive. Device that copies traffic and forwards to a management station for evaluation.
IDS.
All right, from here I use the word passive because what IDS, intrusion detection system, what it does, it looks at the information that is coming, the traffic that is coming in, and know that this traffic is not looking normal. This traffic is suspected, it's bad, or I have suspicion that this traffic is not good. And so it will, the traffic will come in, but it will forward information to the management station to say, hey, look on the traffic there. You know, like when you're coming, for those who travel and you are entering into the US, you get through immigration. They don't stop you at immigration, you know. At the point where you're coming, you know, they make you go through everything and they write on your passport. And by the time you go out, think you're going through customs, there's somebody pull you over and then start to question you and so forth and evaluate you and say if you need to go through. That is what the intrusion detection system behaves. That's how it behaves. All right. IPS, a device that is installed in line. Sorry. A device that is installed in line on the network to evaluate traffic before forwarding it to the destination. Which one is that? No, this is active.
Yes.
IPS. Okay. A device that offers stateful packet inspection along with other advanced security features. So first of all, we have to think stateful inspection. We talk about firewalling and filtering.
UTM.
That's right, unified threat management. A device that centralizes the view of all devices in the network so that the administrator can manage them from one interface. Endpoint management server, it's the EMS, and one example of an EMS is the DNA. All right. Remember what DNA is? No? All right, let me go back one step. Remember what DNA is now? All right, it's digital network architecture. All right, so let's move right on. Programming and embedded microchip. All right, so legacy and embedded. Legacy systems are those computer networking systems that are no longer supported but are still in operation today in today's network. And legacy systems range from industrial control systems to computer mainframe system and a wide variety of networking devices such as hubs and bridges. Legacy systems are inherently vulnerable to security breaches because they cannot be upgraded or patched. And that's why we need, when we have old system, we get rid of them and bring in the new, because they are, you cannot bring them up to speed as it relates to security and protection. All right, one solution to alleviate some of the security risk is to air gap these systems. And this is what air gap is now. Air gap is a process of physically isolating legacy systems from other networks and particularly internet. So if you have old legacy systems, you don't put them on the network. You don't put them on the internet. Or if you put them on the network, you have them on a segment that you you know what traffic is going there. All right. Embedded systems are related to legacy systems in that many legacy systems have embedded microchips. All right. And these embedded microchips are typically programmed to provide dedicated input and output instruction for a specialized device. And you see most of these, you will see most of these embedded chips in industrial areas, you know, especially like, for instance, generators. Some generators have embedded chips where instructions are coded into these chips and tells the generator what to do. If when I'm talking generator, I'm talking about, you know, when electricity gone, those industrial generator, it tells the generator, say, if the voltage is too high, if there's a spike in the current, what to do and what not to do. You understand? So those things does happen in the industrial. You have other devices such as commercial washing machines and commercial dryers. All right, those things, they have program code code that are hard coded into some microchips to tell it what to do and such the likes and such the likes. All right, on the newer side of things now, we have embedded microchips into new modern technologies such as fridges. We have TVs, which are smart TVs. We have even stove. All right, we have our heater system, our AC system. You understand, where we can use, we're talking about our smart homes, and it has embedded microchip where you have the operating system is on a microchip program there. The instructions are there. And so that's all we have. These devices are smart and can be communicated with. All right. Any questions? All right. So, and still on networking, look at that cluster of wires. All right. So, and you will, this is something you will see when you go into one server room. Whenever you go into a server room, you'll see things like this. All right. So a patch panel. A patch panel is commonly used as a place to collect incoming cable that runs from various networking device. All right. And that is through the facility, you know, where the office, the organization. All right. Because if you're not connecting wirelessly, that means you must be connecting via a cable. All right. It provides a point of connection between PCs and switches and routers. A patch panel can be powered or unpowered. A powered patch panel can regenerate weak signals before sending them into the next device. So that is what you call like a smart patch panel. All right. They are more expensive than the unpowered one. So when you go to some server rooms, some facilities, I mean, facilities that are highly relying on the network and the data and the signal, they will put in powered patch panels. But for some other organization, it's not going to be powered, it's going to be unpowered. All right. A powered patch panel can regenerate weak signals before sending them to the next device. And for safety, ensure that all cables are secured using the cable ties or whatever cable management product that you have. All right, you don't want cable running across walkways and under there for people to drop. You keep the cables and the cables fly out and then you lose connectivity. So you have to have cable management system where the cables are out of reach and will stay put where you want it to stay. Any questions, class?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead with the question.
So all of those wire in the panel, they actually connect to an end device.
Yes, they connect to an end device. They either connect to a PC or so first of all, the wire that are in the patch panel, so wires in the patch panel, you will have one, it will connect one end of the wire, it's connect to punch into the patch panel, and the next one is run somewhere distance all the way to a point where you have an Ethernet port, and it is then punched into that Ethernet port, and then the client PC will be plugged into that port using a patch cable. All right, and on the patch panel now, you will have a patch cable moving from the patch panel into a switch. All right, so
Okay.
so this is the switch. Right here is the switch. So you have a patch cable which could be from 6 inches to about 36 inches. Those patch cables, normally those are the lengths, and it move from the patch panel into the switch. Because the switch is where you're gonna get the flow of information going out to every other end device. All right.
Okay.
Anybody else want to ask any question on that before we move on?
So all these slots on the box,
On the
it's
switch. Switch.
yeah, on the switch. Is it for Ethernet connection?
Yes, these are all Ethernet ports on the switch. I didn't hear you. Can I go again? All right, so each port, this look like a 48 port switch. I'm not counting it, but I can tell you it seems like a 48 port switch, right? Probably 52 when you had the other 2 ports here. What
And
is
this would be in a
important?
server room.
This would be in a server room. All right, so the cable, let me see if we can bring up a Word document to give you a feel of what it is. Just give me a second. I'm going to bring up a Word document. All right, let's share this document. I'm going to just share this document quickly. I'm going to give you an idea. Our time coming up for a break, but I'm going to quickly. All right, so this is a blank screen. Can you see the blank screen, everyone? All right, so
Yes.
on a network, what you will find that you will have devices, right? Insert, okay, shapes. All right, so you will have devices, eh? All right, so insert again, get some more shapes, basic shapes. We can go with you. All right, good. So these are our network devices, right? And then we can have our patch panel. Let me draw a patch panel. All right, patch panel will have a line in the middle. And this patch panel need a clear background. Hold on. Clear background. All right. And we're going to draw some more lines and make the ports one. My God, I'm not good at drawing. Well, let me get rid of that. All right, so let me insert a line. Shapes. All right, I'm just gonna try and do something proper. All right, guys, don't mind the line that I try. I realize that I'm not good at this line thing. All right. Oh no, I don't have to do this here. What am I doing? I have a better idea. All right, quick. A better idea. All right, so what I need to do for this one here is to insert a table. All right, the table gonna look like. Why everybody? Why this thing giving me problem? Okay. All right, so all right, insert table. And we're going to put, yeah, this amount. We're going to make it smaller. Down here. My God, where that gone now? Okay, good. All right, so that's the patch panel. I'm going to copy this because I can't, I'm not so good at this insert thing it look like. So we're just gonna make a new one. I wonder why them decide they need to join up together. I don't want you to join up. I want one there. And I want one down here. So let's do another insert table. All right, so not bad. All right, so we have two computers here, two end devices, one here and one here. And we have our switch and we have our patch panel. All right. So what you're gonna find in a network environment, just to give you an idea, you're gonna have a line. Where is it? Insert shapes. We're gonna have, hope this line work. All right, so we're gonna have from the patch panel, which is here, you're gonna have a cable. This cable looks a bit so. Okay, so you're gonna have a cable that goes all the way from here to that port. Come on, let's do it. Guys, this is this cable give me a problem. You know what? These are different cable. I'm gonna light the cable here. All right, insert shapes. Find a different one. All right, let's try this one. All right, this one worked just fine. Except it won't go all over the place. All right, so we're gonna put in a disappointer then. All right, cool. All right, and then we're going to do our next one. So that is the Ethernet cable from the patch panel goes to the port and to the computer. Then we're going to have another cable from here to the switch to that port. All right, and this is a computer. So we're going to have a cable. We're going to have a cable also from this computer goes up to this port. So for it to be connected to the switch, you're going to have a patch cable. Should make the patch cable a different color. We're going to have a patch cable from this switch, from the panel down to the switch. All right, so what you see happening here is that this is the switch, the server, I'm gonna use a circle for the server, which is down here. All right, and this is the switch. All right, so you can plug the server straight into the switch or to the patch panel. So you will consider the server is in a different location from here. So definitely you're gonna have a cable, a long cable. Put it at, we normally for servers we normally put them either the first port or the last port. So we're going to use the first port and we're going to put it right here. That's to the server, right? And then for data to traverse the switch now to these items here, to these computers here, because this is a switch, we're going to label it. You will have a patch cable. You will have a patch cable here. And that patch cable is going to lead from this port and to the port of the switch. All right. So this is insert text box right here. Where is it? Text box. This one. Gonna call it TCH. That's you. Go back here. Just want the switch. And that is the switch. All right. This is a PATCH, PANEL. And patch panel. Okay. Hope it's not too confusing. So I'm gonna change column. I'm gonna change the color to red. Patch panel to red. Patch cable, I mean, to red. All right. So all the patch cables are red. So you know that they are patch cable from the patch panel to the switch. And then you have the data cable coming from the patch panel to the end device. All right. So basically that's all you'll see in a network room look. All right. But the thing is that these cables, you won't see them look like this. They will neatly routed where nobody can see them and comes to the back of the patch panel here. So you won't see any wire coming around. So you will only see this, just this space front part you will see. All right.
Sir,
And
yeah, you say the line the way you connect to your server, you say no normally place that out there in it really matter which part it is.
no, it doesn't matter. But for standard, so that you know that port 1, your server is always in port 1. So if you see port 1, you know, you just go and plug it out. You know, oh, my server is in port 1. So normally port 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, we reserve those. And like I said, it's not industry standard. You know, different IT persons have different things. They might have a patch panel separate and apart for their servers. You understand? Because that does happen also. But if you have a patch panel and you just want to say, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 ports are for servers. You understand me? So you just know that those ports belong to your servers, but it's not industry standard. All right?
All right.
Okay, so basically, as I see, you won't see these cable anywhere. They will route neatly out of sight and get to the point where the end device is connected to it. All right, and then the patch panel now, there's a patch cable, and you know the reason why it is called a patch cable. The patch cable from the patch panel to the switch. All right, and that's what it is. So that's all your net. That's a small network right here. Any questions, class?
All right, so isn't like a server room a room contained with multiple boxes and connection?
Don't use the word boxes. Switches, routers, patch panel, those stuff. All right, and
Okay.
servers, print servers. Those things you are found in the server room. UTMs and such the likes. VPN boxes, you'll find those inside there in the server room.
Oh,
You understand?
oh, okay, I
Yeah.
understand.
So in
Sir,
this, mm-hmm.
so the patch panel is a back and front connection, right? Because as you put,
You connect it to the, you punch in the cable at the back.
mm-hmm.
You punch in this cable here at the
You get,
back,
okay.
and you plug in this cable here, the red one at the front.
Okay, good.
Right. So let me see if I can get back on screen. It's time for a break, but I'm gonna use the time. I'm gonna see if I can get back on screen to show you. Where was I? Right here. All right. So this is the switch. All right. And this is the patch panel. What you are looking at here now is the back of the patch panel. All right. So these cables, they are routed from somewhere going into the facility to the back of the patch panel here. All right, so you won't see this. You won't see it at the front. If you go into a server room, you have to go around the back of the panel to see this. At the front of it, you're not going to see this. What you're going to see is what I showed you, just the cable, the patch cable coming out into the switch. All right.
Okay.
All right, let me see if I can bring, that's that. Okay, so, all right, so then you have so this switch can also be a power over, well, see, it's a 52 port switch. It's a power over Ethernet switch. All right, so power over Ethernet, you know what, I'm gonna take a break now, class. We are definitely finishing this chapter this evening. We're gonna take a break. Let us take a 15 minutes break. All right, and we'll get back, because I know it sounds like I don't want to give you a break, but I know that sometimes you need to just refresh your mind, get your mind free up, and then I get back again into a better learning mode. All right, so take a 15-minute break, and we will be here at 26 minutes after 7 to restart the class. All right, we move forward from there. All right, so we are back. I hope everyone is back in class. Are we here? Are we all here? So, all right, so we're going to continue with power over Ethernet and Ethernet over power. Those are technologies, all right? All right, so power over Ethernet is a method of powering devices, all right, across that do not have a battery or access to power outlet. All right, and even though it says that you have to remember these devices must be able to be powered by the Ethernet cable, so they normally have a power Ethernet injector or integrated on their circuit board or an external one. All right, so that's how it is. So that's when you're trying to power a device by plugging it into a switch like what we're looking at on screen. And this switch will send power signals through the cable, the data cable that we know. All right, and so it will be sending data plus electricity through the Ethernet cable and to the device, and it will power the device also and keep it powered, and it will transmit data along that cable same way. So it's power over Ethernet cable. That's what it means. PoE stands for power over Ethernet. All right, so let us read. So it's powering devices that do not have a battery or access to power. For example, a PoE switch transfers a small amount of DC current over an Ethernet cable along with data to power the PoE device, which is a low voltage device that supports PoE. So that device itself must support PoE, all right? Such as a wireless access points. You have a lot of wireless access points that are PoE. We can give you some example, like some of the Aruba switches, for those who know. Aruba access points are the Ubiquiti access points, and you have some other one popular around the place. I don't know all of them name, yes, but yes. All right, and you're talking about surveillance cameras. We have the IP cameras, not the one that connect with the coax cable, because that is not Ethernet. The coax is coax. All right, but we're talking about the one that connected with the Ethernet data cable. Those are what they call IP cameras. And you'll find out that it's just one cable that leaves from the switch and plugs into the camera, and it powers the camera and carries video also through the same camera. So that camera is a power over Ethernet. And remember now, video is also data. All right. So it's and you also have other examples of like IP phones for those persons who work like in the call centers where their phones are plugged in via an Ethernet cable, and that Ethernet cable comes in and then it powers up the phone and brings across data also. All right. So devices that support PoE can receive power over Ethernet connections at distances of up to 330 feet, which is 100 meters. So basically, it's the same distance that for Ethernet, for data to travel on Ethernet, is the same distance that will travel for the power. All right. Power can also be inserted in the middle of a cable run using a PoE injector. All right. So if the cable run needs to be further than 330 feet or 100 meters, then you can inject up. You can put in a power over Ethernet injector in the cable. It's like a repeater, and it will repeat the power and the data along the next leg of the journey. All right. Ethernet over power now as a different technology. So one is power over Ethernet. So you're transferring power over the Ethernet cable, PoE. Now we are going to talk about Ethernet over power. Ethernet over power is when we are going to transfer Ethernet over the power circuit. So you're transferring Ethernet across an electrical circuit. All right. And just to give you an example, so you find that some devices on the internet you can buy to extend your wireless signal, like some access points and so forth. Those are EOP, Ethernet over power. So you plug it you plug that device into your electrical outlet. You plug it into your electrical outlet. Yes, the same plug that you plug your TV into, you plug that device into it. And what you will do is you will plug your data cable into that. And what will happen is that you will transfer Ethernet cable into that device, convert it into over the electrical signal, carry the Ethernet signal just the same up to the next one, the next wherever it is plugged in at the next pointer, and so you will end up with transferring Ethernet over power. All right, so in your house, say you're downstairs and you want to send Ethernet signal upstairs without running any cable. All right, and it is not wireless. If you don't want to be wireless, what you can do is you plug that device, you plug it, the patch cable into a switch, plug the next end into that device, and plug it into your outlet, and then you go upstairs and plug in the next one, and then you take a cable out of that, and voila, you have your data. That's called Ethernet over power. All right, so we're going to look at what the Ethernet over power. Let me see, here it is. Here's the Ethernet over power. Okay, so you have this device plugged into the power outlet. You have the Ethernet cable plugs into it. And this Ethernet information is translated and go into the power circuit and go wherever you plug the next one like this in at the next point. All right, so let us see that. Ethernet over power, more commonly called power line networking, uses existing electrical wiring to connect devices. All right, the concept of no new wires mean the ability to connect a device to the network wherever there is electrical outlet. All right, sound very nice, don't it, guys? This saves the cost of installing data cables and without any additional cost to the electrical bill, using the same wiring that delivers electricity. Power line networking sends information by sending data on certain frequencies. A power line networking adapter plug into an electrical outlet. All right, so a power line adapter uses Ethernet over power. Any questions on that, class? What? My session has ended. Okay. All right, just give me a moment, class. Let me log in. Let me do this over. Give me a quick second. Any questions, class? I hear no one saying anything at all.
Not that no, sir.
What does OOF mean? Or off? Okay, all right, just give me a second. I'm logging in because I was timeout. So I'm logging in right now. I'm going back to chapter 5 and 5.3. All right, so 5.33, and this is where we're at. Okay, so any questions before we move along, class? Any questions? If you don't understand the Ethernet over power or the power over Ethernet, it's not a problem for you to ask. All right. Cloud-based network controller. All right. So I have a Ubiquiti network controller. It's like a USB stick. All right. And I can take it wherever I want to go, plug it into my computer. As long as I have internet, I can manage my company's wireless network. All right. I can see all the devices and so forth. And I can make changes. I can look at the users, how many persons connected to my wireless internet, and so forth and so on. All right. So that's what a cloud-based network controller is. So that is the one that I would use from a Ubiquiti, but you have different manufacturers of their own. So Cisco will have their own, which is here, it is Meraki. Cisco uses a Meraki Enterprise to monitor and manage their network, that is their devices that are connected. All right, so a cloud-based network controller is a device in the cloud, and it's not up in the sky class. Please remember, it's on the internet, connected to the internet. All right. When we talk about the cloud, we're talking about the internet. We're accessing information across the internet. All right, cloud-based network controller is a device in the cloud that allows network administrators to manage network devices. For example, a medium-sized company with multiple locations might have hundreds of wireless access points. Managing these devices can be cumbersome without the use of some type of controller. All right, and the Cisco Meraki provides cloud-based networking that centralizes management, visibility, and control of all Meraki devices in one dashboard. All right, I know that's a lot that I just read, but basically, what is you remember we look at the screen with the DNA, digital network architecture. Remember that? And where we have a dashboard that we can look at and manage all the network devices. This cloud controller is basically the same thing. All right, but except that you're operating across the internet. All right, so meaning you can walk with it, you can just bring it up, or even if it's not a device, you can go somewhere else in the world and log into your controller, because you can access your controller anywhere because it is stored on a server remote of you virtually, so you can always log into it. And that's what it meant when you talk about the cloud. All right, any questions? All right, so since there are no questions, let us check your understanding before we move to 5.4, which is the last section. So we will drag the term that matches the description. Let's go. A system that can no longer be upgraded or patched. What is that kind of system called?
Legacy.
Legacy.
A specialized purpose microchips that are programmed to carry out specific functions.
Embedded.
Okay, good.
Embedded.
Come on, ladies, you know I like to hear the voices. Collection point for cable runs from networking devices. Collection patch panel, right. Sending low voltage electricity down a networking cable to power devices.
Power over Ethernet.
Over Ethernet.
Excellent. Like to hear the ladies talk. Sending data down power lines to network devices.
Ethernet over power.
Ethernet over power.
Excellent. Power line. A device that allows administrator to remotely manage many devices. There's only one lever, and we know that is a cloud base. All right. We will understand and talk about cloud in chapter that is coming along. All right. But just remember, when I talk about cloud, we're not talking about the sky. All right. We're talking about a computer that is a virtual computer somewhere that you can access remotely. All right. All right. So we're at 5.4. Drive, that is the cloud, right? But OneDrive is a computer that exists. You are connecting to it virtually. All right. So, and because you're Google Drive, same way, is a cloud. All right. Because Google Drive is a drive that you own virtually on a computer somewhere. So when you refer to the cloud, you can notice when we are showing you the internet, that the internet icon, it refers to the cloud. The internet icon is the cloud, but the computer exists virtually. So it can be a virtual machine, All right, so when I'm going to say them have my server in the cloud, it's a virtual machine that you're connected to across the internet. All right, understood? But we will get there and talk and discuss it when the chapters come along. All right, so network cable tools. These are important stuff. You know, when you're talking about networking, we talk about the networking devices, we talk about the switches, routers, hubs, bridges, access points. We talk about the UTM, Unified Threat Management System. We talk about the cloud controller. We talk about power over Ethernet devices, Ethernet over power devices. All of those are networking stuff. All right. Now we need to talk about the cables now and the tools that they use to prepare the cables so that they can work or connect the devices in a network. All right. So let's listen to this video.
Hello everyone! We know that computers and laptops and mobile devices are great devices to work on and deploy. But all these devices are becoming reliant on network connections. As you journey further on becoming an IT professional, you have to build up your networking skills and start building a networking toolkit. I'm here to show you some of the popular items that you may find in a toolkit for network technicians. To start, we want to have a network cable crimper. We want to have wire strippers. We want to have cable connectors. Also, it would be nice to have a punch-down tool. We'll talk about these extra two items in just a little bit. Now, this cable crimper allows you to terminate both network cables and phone cables. We're going to be utilizing connectors with this, and these connectors can be bought in bulk, and they're used on the 8 copper wires of a network cable. We use them in order to terminate the cable and make the network cables usable by devices. These wire strippers here, they're used to strip the outer sheath off the network and phone wires. And once those wires are exposed, we could then utilize these connectors. A punch-down tool is used to terminate a network cable that is 8 raw copper wires into a punch-down block. A punch-down block is a common item that you'll find in an enterprise network. The punch-down block has slots for each of the 8 wires to be punched into the slots. And the nice thing about this tool is it punches those 8 wires down into the network.
The video stop.
Yes, class. Sorry about that. I was talking and I didn't even realize that I was mute. So I stopped the video to tell you that the punch down block is the same thing as the patch panel. All right. The patch panel, at the back of the patch panel, you will see the block that you punch the cables in. All right. So there it is.
Network block itself, we can see that it has a cut side. It will cut off any excess network cable wire off the punch block. Now, when we're working with current, terminated, and deployed network cabling, it's very important to have a basic network cable tester. With this network cable tester here, we can plug both ends of a network cable into the tester, and this allows us to verify that the cable is of good quality and that all 8 pins are terminated properly. Now, there's a variety of different types of testers. I prefer the ones with LCD screens. Some also have LED lights instead. The ones with the LCD screen can easily show you exactly which pin is experiencing issues. These tools can be very basic or very advanced. This one, for example, can use DHCP, ping, and even test power over Ethernet. Other tools that exist can help you trace a network cable and find the device or panel it's connected to. This is called a Tonin probe. You use this in order to locate network cables that could be part of a huge bunch, or even just a cable that's a very long run. This is called a probe because it's able to pick up the tone that is placed on a cable. Many different types of devices can put a tone on the wire, including this cable tester right here. When you put all these tools together in a tool bag, you're one step closer to becoming an IT professional.
Okay, so we understand when you're talking about a network and you're talking about cables, that toolkit is important. You'll have to make cables, you'll have to test cables, you have to verify that the cable is working accurately. And if you need to find where a cable terminates, you don't know, then you have the toner and the probe that you'll use to find the cable. All right, so those are important items in your toolkit, in your networking arsenal. All right, so and the wire cutters, the wire strippers, and these are pictures. Wire cutters are used to cut wires, also known as side cutters. These are cutters. These wire cutters are specifically designed to snip aluminum copper wire, so you know it just to cut it. Then you have the wire stripper. This is where you use to cut the wire stripper. It comes with different gauges. So for different, when you talk about gauge, we're talking about the size of the wire or the thickness of the core of the wire, and then what happens is that you'll be able to strip the wire based on the gauge of the wire with this wire stripper. All right, we have the crimper. The crimper we use to crimp RJ45 and RJ11 ends. The RJ11 ends, that's the one they use to crimp the telephone cables. All right, and then you have the RJ45 that they use to crimp either it can be telephone or data, but the smaller 6-pin cables are RJ11. All right, and the sorry, 6-pin connectors, not cables, and the 8-pin connectors are RJ45. All right, so that's what the crimpers are for. Then we have the punch down tool, what he mentioned in the video. This is what we use to punch down the cable into the patch panel. At the back of it, we have the punch down block at the back of the patch panel. You use this punch down tool to punch the wire, and when you punch it down, it also cuts off the extra wire at the end of it. Multimeter, important arsenal also. You use to measure your AC and DC voltage, electricity, and current, so you can check to see if your power supply is working properly based on the output. All right, and you can use it for various other reasons. I use it for a whole lot more than that, to be honest. All right, including to check for continuity and so forth. Continuity, you want to check to see if there's a break in the wire, so you can twist up the wire. Well, you know, I'll have to show you how that works some other time. Then you have the cable tester. You know, if you don't have a cable tester, then you test for continuity. But the cable tester can do far more than testing for continuity. The cable tester can tell you if the cable is good, crimped properly, and it can tell you if there's a break in the cable, at what distance the cable has the break. It can tell you if there's a breach with the cable. It can the cable tester can tell you so much. All right, so this is important arsenal, very important arsenal as a network technician. All right, then we have the loopback adapter. And the loopback adapter, what it does is test the basic function of the computer ports. And this loopback adapter, if you notice, you probably the first thing you see this port, but that is what you call like a parallel port or a serial, a DB15 port. And what it does, our DB25 port, what it does is to check the port to see if data is traveling or traversing that port properly. We still use it. I still use this adapter very often at my place of work. So I have to have 1 or 2 of this here. All right, then you have the tone generator. Tone generator, what it does is send that noise down a cable. You can't hear the noise, all right? And you use this probe at the end to find out which cable the noise is on. So it is a means or a way to find out find a cable. If you are searching into a large stack of cables running from one long distance to the next, and you can't tell where the ends end up, you can send a tone and then you start to search whichever cable has that tone, then you know that is the cable. Or you could be whichever cable has the strongest tone, then you know that is the cable. And we have the Wi-Fi analyzer. All right, and this is what we use. It can be on a computer and it can be an app on your phone or your mobile device. How it works is that you will go into your Wi-Fi, where you have Wi-Fi signal, you turn on the analyzer, it will check, it will tell you which access point you are connected to, tell you what the decibel, how many decibel that you are getting, or if you are losing, it will show you the up and down number of the wireless. So a person who is a wireless integrator or installer, and you want to check Wi-Fi signals, the strength and so forth, then you use a wireless or a Wi-Fi analyzer. All right. Just a moment, class. Just a moment. We are going to do a check our understanding, and we drag the network tool that matches the description. All right. Just a moment, class. Just a moment. All right, sorry about that, class. Let's continue. All right, so let's do the check your understanding. I want to hear the responses of ladies just the same. All right, so we have designed to snip aluminum and copper wire. Which tool is that?
Wire cutter.
Wire cutter. Typically comes with a variety of notches for different wire gauges.
Stripper.
All right. Used to enable or to attach RJ45 and RJ11 connectors, cables. Connectors to cables.
Crimper.
Okay. Terminates wires in termination block.
Punch down tool.
Measures electrical characteristics to test the integrity of circuits.
Multimeter.
Multimeter.
All right, cool. We're not on the ball, eh? Checks for wiring shorts, faults, and wires connected to wrong pins.
Cable tester.
Test the functionality of the test the functionality of the send and receive signals on computer ports.
Tone generator.
All right, I want to have you. No, not the tone generator. Loop back.
Wireless.
Used to trace the remote end of a cable testing. Sorry, used to trace the remote end of a cable for testing and troubleshooting.
Tone generator.
All right, so we know that the next one is. Let's check. Of course. Different cable types. We have gone through this, so we're just gonna go quickly on it. So we have different type of cables out there that carry data, and data comes in many ways. It can be voice, it can be video, and it can be as in data. All right. So we have the twisted pair, and we have twisted pair. So there it is, cable. copper cable with an outer shield, and it is twisted. The twist is there to reduce radio frequency, RFI, and also cross-talking of electrical signals. That's why I have the twist inside there. The more twist on the cable, the more protection it is, the more resistance it is from different external frequencies. Just a moment, class, please. Sorry about that, class. It's a short break. Alrighty, so we're talking about the twisted pair, and I tell you that we have the UTP, which is the unshielded, and we have the STP, which is shielded. So this one we're looking at in the picture right now, it's UTP, unshielded twisted pair. And how we know it, when it is shielded, it has an outer jacket over these cables here. All right, so that's a twisted pair. There are 4 pairs of cables. All right, wide variety of networking cables also shown in the video. You have the fiber optic cable, and this is it at the here. Fiber optic cable, and it has many outer jackets here. We'll go through fiber optic cables further in the chapter, but where you're looking at here is a glass core. It's not copper, even though it looks like copper. It's not copper. It's a glass core. It's a glass core, and that's where light is sent down the glass core, and that's how data is transferred using light. That's why it is fiber optics. And we have the copper core for the coax cable, and the data is transferred on this as electrical signals on the copper core. All right. All right, for the coaxial cable, it's usually constructed of either copper and aluminum. Please mute. It is usually constructed of either copper or aluminum. It is used by both cable television companies. Can you mute, please? Can you mute? Hello, Anne-Marie, can you mute? Thank you. All right, just a moment. Let me mute Anne-Marie. Okay, here we go. All right, so the coax cable, is used in cable television companies and satellite communications. All right, coaxial cable is enclosed in a sheet of or jacket and can be terminated with variety of connectors. So we have the F-type, the N-type, and the BNC connectors. All right, these are all different cable connectors that works with the coax cable. We have different grade coax cables. All right, so we have like the RJ6, the RG59, and so forth. All right, coaxial cables carries data in the form of electrical signals. It provides improved shielding compared to unshielded twisted pair. So in other words, it have more shielding and less interferences in comparison to the unshielded twisted pair. So it has higher signal to noise ratio. All right, so that means they transfer more signal with small amount of noise. All right, and carry more, and that's why it carry more data. However, twisted pair cabling has replaced coax in LANs because when compared to UTP, coax is physically harder to install, and one of the reasons that it's thicker, the bend radius is wider, it's not easy to manage. You understand? You can run four UTP cable inside of a 3/4 inch pipe. You can only run one coax, so it costs less to run UTP cables over coax. Coax is physically harder to install, more expensive, and harder to troubleshoot. All right, so that's the reason why UTP has more place, but it does carry a high bandwidth. It does carry, and it carry more data because of the noise, the signal to noise ratio. All right, so we'll remember how the jacket, how the setup of the coax cable is. We have an outer jacket, which is either Teflon or plenum or one of those stuff. Then you have the braided copper shielding. Then we have the plastic insulation, which is over the copper core. So the copper core, which is the copper conductor, this is where the signal traverse, the electrical signal traverse. All right, and that's the setup of the coaxial cable. Twisted pair. There it is, twisted pair. The twist protects the signal from interference. As I explained before, the more twists you have, the higher the protection. All right. The outer jacket of the twisted pair cable, protects the copper wire from physical damage. So this outer piece here, it also protects from noise, but most time is for protection of physical damage. The outer plastic or the color-coded plastic on this twisted pair, all right, is electrically insulated wires for each other. That means they won't, it is, we call it now, they won't short out each other, all right, because they are the outer coloring, those are insulation, all right. So twisted pair used for telephone communication and most Ethernet networks. The pair is twisted to provide protection against crosstalk, which is noise generated by adjacent pairs of wires in the cable. Unshielded twisted pair is the most common variety of twisted pair cable. That's what we see on the market most times. We hardly see the shielded twisted pair. All right, so what we're looking at here is a shielded twisted pair. And UTP does not protect against electromagnetic interference. All right. or radio frequency interference. It does not protect from those two. All right. So shielded twisted pair. All right. And this was designed to provide better protection against EMI, which is electromagnetic interference, and RFI, radio frequency interference. All right. Each twisted pair is wrapped in a foil shield. The 4 pairs are then wrapped together in a metallic braid or foil. All right. And you might be saying, oh, so why don't we use the shielded twisted pair? It is far more expensive. All right. So both UTP and STP cables are terminated with RJ45 connector and plug into RJ45 sockets. All right, these cables are significantly, the STP is significant, that is shielded twisted pair, significantly more expensive, and it is difficult to install because of that. The amount of shielding that is there, it is not as flexible as the UTP cable. All right, they are terminated with special shielded STP RJ45. So even though it's a RJ45 connector, they are made for shielded twisted pair cables. If the cable is improperly grounded, the shield may act as an antenna and pick up unwanted signals. All right, so installing STP cable, you have to have knowledge of what you are doing, and also it is harder to work with because it's not as flexible as the UTP cable. You need a special RJ45 connector for it, but it has a lot more protection, and you want to ask yourself, then why would I use it or why would I not use it? So the UTP is what we use every day in our regular application, running cabling application, but the STP is used in some industrial environment where you have to protect from interference, EMI or RFI, any noise that is there. So you need the STP cable in those situations. All right. So we have different category of cables out there now. We have the Cat5 cable. We have different versions of Cat5. We have the Cat5, regular Cat5, and we have the Cat5 UTP. Sorry, the Cat5e. The Cat5e can carry up to 1 gig of data. Cat5 is only 100 megabyte of data. And then we have the Cat6 UTP, which can carry all the way up to 1 gig. All right. So let us continue. 100 megabytes at 100 megahertz. So the higher you go up in the category, the more features you will get. So look at the UTP5, the Cat5 UTP. You will notice it's 1 gigabit at 100 megahertz. All right. It has a higher manufactured higher standard. It comes with more twists, and so it prevents EFI and EMI and RFI. All right. The Cat6 UTP, 1 gig at 250 megahertz. And we have a version of Cat6, which is Cat6A, which is same 1 gigabit data transfer rate, but at 500 megahertz. All right. All right, so we're looking at the how we connect these cables in the connector. All right, connecting these cables in the connector is a standard. The standard is international. You have standard A and you have standard B. But if you look on my screen, you will say, oh, come this is standard A and standard B. So if you look, both standards are T56A, sorry, T568A, T568B. So we just shorten it since the first 4 digits are the same. We just say standard A and standard B. All right. So when you are connecting the connectors on the cable, whatever standard you use at one end of the cable must be the same identical standard at the next end. You cannot have the same cable with 2 different standards. You won't get any data transfer, any connection at all. So you need to have both ends of the cable connected with the same standard. Okay, class, I hope you're here and understand. If you're not understanding, please ask questions. All right, so let us look at how these standards are. So there are two different patterns of wiring schemes. All right, and if you look good, look on the screen. All right, so you have T568A, T568B. Each wiring scheme define the pinout. All right, so if you look good on the screen, guys, and watch my mouse. All right, so you have 4 pairs of cable, aired cable right here, and we are looking at standard A. Standard A starts with green. Always remember that A started green, and it doesn't mean that the green color is A. All right, it doesn't mean that I mean, I'm talking politics. It doesn't mean that labor right is A and PNP is B. All right, I'm saying that the standard 56A 8A starts the wiring pinout from green and white, green, and then orange and white, and then orange. Now, what I need to let you know, because you might be wondering why I say it like that. Data transfer in half duplex, all right, will be 2 pairs of wire. And the pins for those data transfer are 1, 2, 3, and 6. All right, so if you look good at it good, if you look good, you'll notice you have 1, 2, which is green, green, and white. Then you have 3, orange and white, and then you will have 6, which is orange. So you have stripe, solid, stripe, solid. Stripe, solid, stripe, solid. Please remember, guys, stripe, solid, but green for the beginning for A, and for B, it will be orange. All right, so let's look at B. So that's B. It's still stripe, solid, but only that B is orange. Starts with orange and white. All right, and for A, it starts with green and white. All right, class?
Okay.
Hello, are we there?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Listen, guys, if you don't understand, if you think it's too much information at a time, stop me, question me, ask me questions. Do you understand about the pinout?
Sure. So in this one, the green and white would go with the green.
Right.
Okay.
Green and white go with green. So what happened is, as I said, these are the pinouts that they transfer 1, 2, 3, and 6. 1, 2, 3, and 6. All right, and these mark even the standard. So standard B is orange. When I click at standard A, you notice it begins with green. So if you can use that to remember the different standards, all right, and remember that whatever standard you pin out the connector on one end, you must do it on the other end of the cable. All right, so if you start with standard A, you just continue with standard A. The thing about it is, in organizations, what we normally do is we standardize how we are putting on the ends, whether we are using A or B, so we don't have to think. So for instance, I am at this end of a cable, but I don't know where the next end is, and I found that this end is bad. Because of the standard that we are working at, we don't have to check the next end because we know that we are working either B or A. So we just say, for instance, I'm using B in the organization, I will always terminate using the B standard. Understand, class?
Yeah, I understand.
Any questions on that, class? Please, any questions? All right, I guess we all are clear. All right, correctly aligned. This is how you put in you set up this cable. First, you strip the outer jacket of the UTP cable. All right, then you even them up, align them up. You're going to put them in order. So remember now, if you are using standard B, that means that you are going to start with orange. So the first cable would be orange and white, right? And the second cable would be orange. Your third cable would be green and white. All right, because it's 1, 2, 3, and 6. Your fifth cable, it will be blue or blue and white. It will be blue and white, right? And your fifth cable will be blue. Your sixth cable will be green. So we're on the B standard, right? And with and then we move forward with the rest of colors. All right. So here we go. Once you align your cables properly together inside, you're gonna then put that cable inside the connector, and it's how you're gonna do it is that you're gonna hold the connector facing you. So you must have the colors at the end of it. When you have the colors must begin from left to right. So one, the cable pointing away from you, you must have the colors starting from 1 to 8, 1 starting on your left. The connector will be turned upside down, and then you are going to place the cables as you have them aligned. It's not easy to talk about it. I'd have to show you. So this is something we do face to face. All right. Then you have that cable is pushed into the connector, and then you crimp it. I'm just giving you a verbal instruction here, but example. But this is, you will not get it until you do it, and that's something we're going to have to do. All right. So on screen, we can check to see how we're going to do it. If you're going to do for B, because this is an activity. All right, so let us work the activity now. So we have, let us start it here. Going to do pin out for A, and you're going to tell me which cable to put for pin 1. So remember, pin 1 is on the left, and we go all the way down. So this is A, and they're going to tell me which color for pin 1 and so forth. And I will click them. Go ahead, class.
Green
Or
and
So
green.
white.
no,
Green and
it
white.
can't, green and white is a pin 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Green and white.
Green.
Okay.
Orange and white.
Okay.
Blue.
Okay.
Blue and white.
Okay.
Orange.
Okay.
Brown and white.
Huh?
Brown.
I'm going to check to see if you are correct. Correct.
That my
right.
screen freeze.
Your screen freeze?
It seems so.
Okay. So you are correct. All right. You are correct. The only time you don't have the solid before the stripe is on blue. The middle, the two middle pins. All right. Other than that, it's going to be the solid. Sorry, it's going to be the stripe before the solid. All right. Let us do the one for standard B. Come on, give me guidance now. Standard B. What color first?
Orange and white.
Orange and white. Then
Orange.
orange. What next? Can't hear you.
Green and white.
Okay. Next color. Next color.
Blue.
Okay. Next color.
Blue and white.
Blue and white.
Yes.
Next color.
Green.
Green.
Next color.
Green and
Brown, white.
white.
Brown and white.
Okay. All right, let's check. And yes, we are correct. All right, so we have an understanding. That's how we align and put the cables in order. All right, that's exactly how we align and put the cables in order for each standard. All right. All right, we're going to look at a quick video to see, we have time to see the cable setting up, all right, to build and test a network cable. All right, so give me a second. Let me large the screen and we're gonna start.
Hello, everyone. All of these tools here are common network termination tools. We have extra network cable that is not terminated. Here's a crimping tool and some RJ45 connectors that we can use to terminate our network cable. We have a couple of steps in order to successfully build a custom length network cable. First step is to commonly measure the length of the cable you're going to need. This is a great reason for making your own cables because we like to pick a custom length and not have to buy a pre-made cable with a pre-picked length. Now that we have our measured length of cable, we can use the cutting blade on our crimping tool to cut our cable. Got the cutting blade right here. I put the cable in, and I'd be able to cut it if needed. We can use the cable stripper to strip the outer housing off the network cable. We're going to place the cable in this groove right here on our cable stripper. And we can go rather far on this cable without a problem. Just take that into account when you're talking about length. I can press and hold the cable stripper down on the cable, and I'll just twist it. And this is going to cut through that outer sheath. And this is going to allow us to pull that outer housing off of the network cable. And you can see that right here, how it's coming off. After removing the outer sheath, you'll find 4 pairs of wires. We'll have to untwist the 4 pairs and organize them into 8 individual copper wires. When you're separating those 4 pairs from each other, what I find in the middle of mine is this plastic separator. This is common in our Cat6 wires like this one, which allows it to prevent interference and crosstalk between our pairs. What we're going to do right now is cut this plastic separator off because it's going to be in the way when we try to put our RJ45 connector on. So I can take my cutting tool and just cut that plastic separator off. It does a great job inside of the cable, but it's in the way for the RJ45 connector. Also, what we'll find in my cable is the string. These are meant to be pull strings that allow you to pull on the sheath and be able to slice through the sheath. That's also going to be in the way for me, so I'm going to cut that off because we don't need it at this time. So this is where we now want to untwist all the wires, and this is going to take us some time to do. What we're going to find is that each pair of wires, well, they're going to be having different number of twists per inch, and you'll be able to see that. For example, the one that's going to be the hardest to untwist is going to be blue, white, blue. That has more twists per inch, for example, than looking at brown, white, brown. Those more twists per inch for each pair is going to allow us to have less crosstalk and interference between those pairs. They thought of everything, didn't they? So I'll continue to untwist and we'll come back. Now that my 8 individual wires are untwisted, what we want to do is pull them all so they're really straight. The straighter you can make them, the easier it's going to be to organize the wires in the correct color code, as well as the easier it will be to crimp them with the RJ45 connector. Now, I'm not worrying right now too much about color code organization. I just want to get them as straight as possible. What some people like to do is if you can gather all of them at the end of the wires with your fingers, and you can actually pull it straight and wiggle back and forth, and you get straighter wires. Now, what I'd like to do is organize them in the correct color code. There's different standards, 568A or 568B. I'm going to follow the T568B standard and put these wires in the correct order. That order is going to be orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. And to do that, I'm just going to take the orange, white and put it all the way to the side, followed by orange. Then I'll follow that one correctly with the green, white, and bring that one over. And then follow it with the next color. I'll do that and we'll come back. Once you have them in the correct color order, such as we see here, we'd like to take one of our RJ45 connectors and we'd slide it on. Now the current problem is that connector is not going to fit well. The wires are too long. We want this sheath to be about here in the connector, so when we crimp, this connector is going to hold onto that sheath, not onto the wires. So what I need to do is take my tool, which I can take either a pair of snips or a cutting tool like this, and I need to cut these shorter. So I'll go ahead and I'm just going to give it a snip. Make sure you use a tool that's sharp. You want a nice even cut as much as possible. Now that these wires are cut, we can verify that they're still in the correct order, and we can take an RJ45 connector and we're going to slide this on just like so. And we'll push those in tight. We can watch those wires go into the RJ45 connector. Push far enough and we should see that plastic sheath go in as well. Awesome. We can check the front of the RJ45 connector and see all those color codes come.
I'm sorry, class. I was talking again when you're on mute. Reminding you that when you're putting the cable together, once you align the cable in the proper color code, in the color order, you cut it evenly, the appropriate length. You want to turn pin 1, because remember pin 1 is the beginning. Pin 1 must be when the cable is away, pointing away from you. Pin 1 will be on the left. So your orange and white cable will be on the left. All right, and you will turn the connector upside down. All right, and then when you turn it on the left, you fit the cable inside of it. So if you look at what he's doing, you will have an idea. So just in case you remember those steps, you can't go wrong. All right, so let us start the video. Just look. So he's cutting it.
Make sure you use a tool that's sharp. You want a nice even cut as much as possible. Now that these wires are cut, we can verify that they're still in the correct order.
Turns it away.
And we can take an RJ45 connector.
Turn it
and
upside
we're going to
down.
slide this on just like so.
All right. You get it.
And we'll push those in tight.
Push it all the way down to
You
the
can
top.
watch those wires go into the
Straight down to the
RJ45
end.
connector.
Push some of the
Push
cable
far enough,
inside.
and you should see that plastic sheath go in as well.
So once the plastic
Awesome.
outer shield go inside
We
under
can
that
check
pin.
the front of the RJ45 connector and see all those color codes coming in beautifully.
All right.
Now we'll take our crimper and we'll slide our cable into the crimper. It's all the way in.
Continue
We'll give
pushing
it a
in the
tight
cable
squeeze,
and crimp.
and
There
now
you
it's
go.
crimped on. We can see it holding on to the plastic sheath,
Right.
and our 8 copper wires are all the way in.
Cool.
Since now the connector is attached to the 8 wires in the outer housing, before we deploy this, we should verify the quality of the cable.
So you
You
use a
take
cable
something
tester.
like this, which is a cable tester, plug it in on both sides, turn it on, and we'll be able to watch it go.
All
Checking the
right.
quality of our cable, and we should see all 8 wires come up as successful. We'll see 8 lines. And we did it. All 8 lines came up, letting us know the quality of our cable is perfect. You're able to see
All
that
right.
right here. It tells us it's a 3-foot
When you
cable.
become an expert
Hopefully,
at it,
you have a 3-foot purpose. Grab some tools and get started crafting your own custom length network cable.
yes, and when you become an expert, you don't even need a cable tester. All right, you will be confident that it is done properly. All right. So the lab is to build cable. I know you guys don't have crimper, so I wouldn't even ask it to. So we have a couple labs to do face to face, and we are going to get them done. Doesn't matter, even if it's the last couple classes, but we will definitely get them done. All right. So let's move into here. Fiber optic cables. We are going to finish this chapter tonight. All right. I don't think we have much on this chapter. Yeah, almost there. See, almost there. All right. Fiber optic cables. So bear with me. Class, are you there? Just bear with me.
Yes.
We're not done.
I'm
Yes,
here.
sir.
All right, for fiber optic cable, all right, optical fiber is composed of two kinds of glass, core and cladding, and a protective outer shield jacket. All right, so if you look on them, there it is, this is it. So you have a outer protective, you have a cladding inside here. All right, this is this, they call it, this is the strengthening material. All right, and then you have the buffer, which is right here. This is the buffer. All right, and it is used to help shield the core and cladding from damage. Right, so the cladding is this little part here, right around the core. There it is, the cladding right here, and it is made from slightly different chemicals than those used to create the core. The core is the glass, and the cladding is also glass, but different material. This keep light in the cord as it travels down the fiber, because remember, when light is traveling, it tends to refract and bend and all over the place. So when you have the cladding, what the cladding helps is to keep the light traveling in a straight line as much as possible, or to ensure that the refractive index is as minimal as possible. All right, so that's what the cladding is for. The buffer is there to protect the glass, you know, like the glass inside is like an egg. So the buffer is there to ensure that when you drop the cable, boom, on the ground, anything, it doesn't damage the glass tube that is there. All right, so that's what it is. All right, to shield the core and cladding from damage. That's what the buffer is for. And the core is actually the light transmission element that at the center of the optical fiber. The core is typically silica or glass. So both of them, fiber, the cladding is also glass, and light pulses travel through the core, and that's why it is fiber optics. So the data is transferred using light signals. All right. So because it uses light to transmit signals, fiber cable is not affected by EMI. All right, neither is it affected by RFI. All signals are converted to light, and that has not electricity, and have no electrical or radio frequency interference, all because it's total light signals. All right, this means that fiber optic cable can deliver signals that are clearer and can go farther and have greater bandwidth. All right, bandwidth fiber have bandwidth. I mean, talk about bandwidth, fiber has bandwidth. All right, and than any copper cable. As a matter of fact, yeah, copper cable can't compare to the bandwidth that a fiber cable can carry. All right, although the optical fiber is very thin and it's susceptible to sharp bends, because you know, if light travels most times, you know, in a straight line, especially when it is laser down. So when there's a sharp bend, the light tend to go against the bend and have a refraction. All right. So the properties of the core and the cladding make it very strong. Optical fiber is durable and is deployed in harsh environmental conditions in networks all around the world. So like I mentioned in some class, I don't remember which one of the class, but I mentioned that we have fiber optics bringing data signals from in the US, from across the Caribbean, from other places, running underground, under the sea. Let me say underground, I'm talking, it just throw down on the seabed. Big, thick cables coming on the seabed, coming into our shores. All right. So they can be in harsh environment. All right. Different type of fiber media. You have the single mode. All right. Single mode can transfer or traverse longer distance and carry higher bandwidth. All right. And the light is sent down the copper tube via a laser beam. So you know that it's faster. All right. So single mode consists of a very small core and uses a laser technology to send single ray of light. All right. So we look at the example of a single core here. All right. And there you go. And these can go. It's like how we have the Cat5 cable, which is 100 meter. Right. The fiber optics cable can go hundreds of kilometers. I mean, like hundreds of kilometers. all right, such as those required in long-haul telephony and cable TV applications. So, you know, Cornwall Communications and Flow and Digicel, they are using fiber technology to carry a lot of bandwidth. So you find that they are carrying voice and video and data on the same fiber optic coming into your home. Then you have one next type of fiber called multimedia fiber, right? MMF. So you can always know the different type of fiber and the connector by you seeing if it is SMF or MMF. SMF is single mode and MF is multi-mode. Now, the multi-mode consists of a larger core, all right, and uses LED emitters. All right, so the multimedia is LED emitters and the single mode uses the laser. All right, and specifically light from LED enters the multimode at different angles. So you find that you have different lights being emitted, different light being emitted from the LED from different angles. All right, and enter the multimode fiber. Popular in lands because they can be powered by low-cost LEDs. So yes, it doesn't send the signal as far as single mode, because multi-mode can go up to 500 meter. All right, but single mode can go half kilometer. But each application, you use them based on what is needed. You understand? So it is more costly to use a single mode because of the equipment that is needed than the multi-mode. So the multi-mode, you will find it in local area networks a whole lot. And single mode, you see that as backbones that move from geographical location to geographical location. All right. Let us look at the picture of the multimode. This is how the signals are sent down the copper core at different angles. So you see, that's how it goes there. All right. And it has a larger core, greater dispersion for the light. All right. And it's good for long distance application, but shorter than single mode. All right. So anything that is longer than the Cat5, which is 100 meter, the multimode fiber is ideal. But if you want to go longer than 550 meter, you definitely will have to go single mode. All right. Any questions on that, class? All right. So these are the fiber optics connectors. All right. So we mentioned the connectors. We have the ST connectors. We have SC connectors, LC connectors, and duplex multi-mode connectors. When you look at these connectors, you tend to know which mode you're going to use. All right. Some time ago, long time ago in my earlier days. All right. I used to just say, all right, so the ST, we know that is for round, and we know so the SC is for square connectors, as some usually do it. Trust me, it was not so, but I have to do that to remember it. All right. But the SC connector, it means subscriber connector. All right. Sometimes referred to as a square connector or a standard connector, but it's really subscriber connector. All right. And that was long time ago. I used to refer to it as square connector. Then we have the duplex mode connector. So it comes with two cables like this here. See, you have two cables and it have two pins, two cord right there. It's duplex multi-mode and it's LC connector. All right. Similar to the LC simplex. I'm going to show you the LC, but it's two of this. So this is the LC connector right here. And it's basically joined two of these look alike here to give you the duplex LC connectors. Now LC means lucent. All right, a smaller version of the SC connector and sometimes called the little or local. So I usually call it, back in the days, in my earlier days, I used to say the little connector. All right, so I try to refer to them based on the alphabet that begins. So I always say SC for square and the LC is for little connector. So the smaller one, smaller than this one here. All right, and the ST connector. All right. One of the first connector types used, very popular and still is very popular. all right, and it locks securely with a twist. It's a twist on, all right, and there it is, and it's a straight tip connector, all right, straight tip connector. All right, so there we go. All right, so whenever you look in anywhere for fiber standard, you're going to see FX and SX, the name light travels in one direction over the optical fiber. All right. All right, so for fiber standards with FX and SX in the same name, light travels in one direction over optical fiber. Therefore, two fibers are required to support full duplex. All right, so FX means full duplex and SX means single duplex. All right, fiber optic cables bundle together two optical fiber cables and terminate them with a pair of standard single fiber connectors. Some fiber connectors accept both the transmitting and receiving fibers in a single connector known as a duplex connector, which is this one here. All right. So when you see a fiber, when you see a fiber standard with BX in the name, light travels in both directions. All right, just remember, light travels in both directions. Remember, when I say FX and SX, the light travels in one direction. When I see one in BX, it means that it travels in both directions. All right, so it does this through called wave division multiplexing, WDM. All right, wave division multiplexing, technology that separate the transmit and the receive signals inside the fiber. So basically, that wave division mechanism, how it works is as it says, when you're sending signal in both ways, and what it does is to divide, intelligently know which one is transmitting and which one is receiving. All right. Okay, so we are checking your understanding. We're at the last part of chapter 5. And you guys have to clap yourself because this chapter is a whole lot. I know you feel it, but this is a chapter that brings you further on. All right, so let's go. Match each fiber optic cable term to its definition. Element in a fiber optic through which light pulses travel. What is the name of that element?
Core. Core.
All right, class, I don't want you to fall asleep.
Drop asleep, man.
Yeah, acts like a mirror reflecting light to keep it traveling down the fiber.
Cladding.
Cladding, right? The cladding covers the core, and what the cladding does, as I say, is also glass, but it ensures that the light is reflected and stay inside the core. All right, minimal refraction index. All right, use it and popular for long distance runs spanning hundreds of kilometers.
Single mode fiber.
Single mode.
All right, Irene is there. Uses LED emitter and popular for lands and run up to 550 meters.
Multi-mode.
Multi-mode.
And the WDM, we know that technology, all right? Wave division multiplexing. All right, that's what it stands for. Wave division multiplexing, and what it does is to intelligently decipher or divide the light into transmitting and receiving. All right. So, and that is for any fiber standard that you see with BX. And BX means that the signal is transmitted, light is transmitted in both directions down the core. All right. Yeah, we are at 5, and I know you guys are happy. It's a that we have gone through networking. We talk about the different devices. We talk about the protocols. We talk about the different type of cables. We talk about Ethernet over power line, power over Ethernet. We have gone through a whole lot. Cables, the different type of cables, the connectors, and so forth and so on. And that's the reason I'm only giving a chapter 5 exam and the checkpoint exam. All right. So what you need to know is that the checkpoint exam is all the chapters that comes before it. So you will be you'll be tested on all the chapters that come before it up to that checkpoint exam. All right. So I will get the exam turned on for you this weekend, and it will go up until Monday midnight. Go ahead.
That's the way the checkpoint are like exam they will do before.
All the exam,
The
it will
chapter
not
one
all.
come up.
Right, not all the exam. It will incorporate questions from all the chapters that we have done, that you have done before that checkpoint, up to that checkpoint.
The whole heap of reading then, man.
No, you just done the exam, so that's why the checkpoint. You're supposed to still fresh in your brain, man.
Sometimes you have to make space for new thing, new information are coming. So sometimes you drop back.
Okay. All right.
So that are the only exam we have this week.
Chapter 5 and the checkpoint, 2 exams.
Chapter 5 exam and the checkpoint exam.
Yeah, the checkpoint is for 1 to 4. And then you're gonna do chapter 5 exam.
Okay, so that chapter 5, that checkpoint would be at chapter 5.
You'll see it right before chapter 5. Under chapter 4.
Okay.
It's in chapter 4, right? Where is the chapter 4 exam? Right below chapter 4 exam, you will see the checkpoint.
Okay then.
Okay. Any other questions, class? Any other questions, everybody? Ladies, gentlemen, any other questions? So I'm not giving you any other thing. I want you guys to prepare yourself for these exams. The exams are gonna get more advanced, but trust me, you are ready for it. All right? You are all ready for it.
I have to go do some studying, you know?
Yeah. The studying is important. Studying is important. All you need to do is you read already and you did the exam, it's still supposed to be fresh in your head. You can reread. What you can do is also you can look at it, you can redo the quizzes. Understand? But it's important. Read again, practice to check your understanding, do the end of chapter quiz. That is what. We're not going to do the quiz tonight because it's late, but I want you guys to do the quiz on your own. All right?
And the exam due Monday midnight?
Monday midnight is the deadline, so it will be turned on tomorrow, Friday, and you will have straight up until Monday midnight to complete both exams.
All right.
All right? I have confidence in you guys, man. As I say, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to send them through. I must tell you that the days have become very busy, but once there are questions that require me to answer right now, I will answer you. Some questions I might just leave you to work it out, or I answer you later in the day. But if it's a question that requires me to answer you right away, I will answer you. And take note, guys, I might don't answer you, but I read everything that you send. Sometimes I know that I want you guys to work it out with each other as a group. Remember, in this industry, you alone can't do it. You have to rely on your friends and people who you know that know stuff. You understand me? So you practice that from now to liaise with each other. You understand? And that's how you will survive in the industry. You cannot do it by yourself. I have to ask my colleagues at different areas to say, how do you do this? Remind me how you do that. Or have you ever been in this situation yet? How do you deal with it? You get what I'm saying? And that's how you learn. So my colleagues will call me and ask me these questions just to say, Michael, have you been in a situation like this? Have you ever seen this error before? You know? So yes, if you have seen this error, how have you dealt with this error? And so that's how we do it. You understand? We So sometimes don't be in the group and be independent of the group. That makes no sense. Be in the group, be a part of the group. All right, so question each other, talk to each other, say group, what you guys think about this, and one of you say this and read about this or so forth. Or if you find something new, say, hey guys, read something like that. All right. The group that I had before, I tell you, they were very good at working together. I'm not gonna lie to you, they were very good at working together. So you guys practice working together, it will be easy. All right, that's the reason that we have in our group. Because seeing that we are not in the class, we have to in the group, so you have to be like you're in the class. All right, any other questions, class? You know, to keep asking any other questions, any other questions. All right, if there are no other questions, then we're going to have to end tonight's class and we're going to ask you guys to reread. All right, and it's a long chapter. It's still the same number of questions. It's just that you just need to understand what we have gone through. And I try my best to make it as clear as possible, giving a real life examples. All right, any questions? All right, since there are no more questions, for good night, everyone, and thanks for being in class and participating. All right, ladies, thank you for participating just the same. I don't want you to let the guys outdo you. That's why I keep saying participate. All right, have a good night, everyone. Let me know if there's any issue in the group. All right, good night.
All right.
Good night.
Good night, Lauren.
Good
Good night.
night.